Stephen A works for ESPN. ESPN is controlled by Disney. Stephen A doesn't choose the topics. Somebody chooses them for him. You know, his willingness has made him extremely valuable to these companies. Today, I'm going to be talking about breaking panopticism, also algorithmic social engineering. If I control the technology, I can dictate the market. I'll explain what that means. Michel Foucault, a French philosopher, in 1975, in her work Discipline and Punish, talked about panopticism. She based it off of a prison design, right? It was a prison design with a watchtower in the middle of the prison. And this theory was that, like, by putting the watchtower in the middle, the prisoners would police themselves because they're under surveillance. So physical authority has shifted to psychological authority, right? And over time, their behaviors change. And this causes a term she calls dynamic normalization. So in the digital age, the watchtower has transferred. So through technology, through bots, through fake viral clips, fake accounts, you can police platforms and algorithmically influence society with the technology that you can control. The technology that you can control can dictate the market. We see it across various industries all the time. A lot of people have seen some of my quarrels with the media industry. That's kind of the reason why I started streaming. You know, some of you have seen my stream and going off on Stephen A. Smith. But exactly, but Stephen A works for ESPN. ESPN is controlled by Disney. Stephen A doesn't choose the topics. Somebody chooses them for him. You know, his willingness has made him extremely valuable to these companies.
By Kyrie not being on the floor, Stephen A, I mean, is this letting this entire Nets team down?
Without question. Jay knows this. He tried to deny it all he wants to, but it's the absolute truth. In all seriousness, here's my thing. How can we rave about Kyrie Irving and the sensational talent that he is and the 60-point explosion that he had against Orlando, but we don't bring him up when he's not on the court and they lose to Dallas? I can't wait for you to try to explain that one. You don't get to have it both ways. You can't sit up there and credit him when he's spectacular and talk about how phenomenal he is, which is true, because he is phenomenal. He is sensational. He is box office. As Jay knows, Shay, I've been on the record stating this on several occasions. Kyrie Irving is box office. I'd pay him $50 million a year. He's worth it. You walk through the turnstiles to see this brother perform. All right, but I'd never give him a long-term contract to get in his NBA career because he can't be trusted to be there. And the record shows it. Now, what I'm saying is this. The night before, albeit against Orlando Magic, it doesn't take away the sensational performance that he put forth, how pure of an offensive juggernaut this brother is. He is something special to behold. But yet we going to sit up there the next game when Luka Doncic is in the house and KD got to go it alone, okay? Because we learned the Ben Simmons back injury and what have you. And Jay, just so you know, I don't know if you saw me say this last night, but as an aside, me getting on Ben Simmons, I had to stop. We can't have it both ways. We can't sit up there and say, listen to the medical professionals, all right, when it comes to the vaccine. But then when he has a back injury and what have you, and the medical professionals are saying that, we ignore that. No, fair is fair. They say he's got a back injury. I stand down. He's got a back injury. I hope Ben Simmons gets well so I can see this brother on the court because he's sensational in his own right in certain ways as well. But when it comes to Kyrie Irving, this brother is spectacular. He's a difference maker. And I'll go down the list, Jay, for you. Remember when they had that 11-game losing streak? Mm-hmm. They lost to the Lakers. Do they lose to the Lakers if Kyrie Irving's on the court?
No.
No. They lost, I'm looking to the Sacramento Kings. Does that have, well, then again, Kyrie was on the court for that. When I'm looking at this, the Washington Wizards, he was on the court for that too. I'm just looking at some of these teams, and I'm looking at last night's loss at home in Brooklyn against the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm saying, do you lose that game if Kyrie Irving is on the court? The answer would be no. I think they win that game last night if Kyrie is on the court. So if we're going to give him credit when he's spectacular, we also got to point the finger at him when he ain't there. That's where I'm at.
S.A.
Yes.
We talk about this every day like we expect something to change as it relates to Kyrie getting vaccinated.
No, I'm
I'm not saying you do.
Right.
And I know that people were expecting, I know I did, expecting circumstances to change the private sector mandate. But I've known what this is from the beginning with Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
He's made his statement that he wasn't going to play. So, you know, I'm not saying that Kyrie doesn't deserve some blame. Of course, I would love to have Kyrie on the court and play against the likes of who they played last night in the Dallas Mavericks. Of course, I'd love to see him on the court against the New York Knicks. But it feels like we can't let that go.
We can only presume that you're not joining us right now because of vaccination. I'm curious, is that accurate? And if so, or do you expect to be either vaccinated or compliant in time by the time you guys come back from LA after that postseason game, after the preseason game?
Yeah, no, Brian, I appreciate your questions, bro. Honestly, I like to keep that stuff private, man. I'm a human being first, and obviously living in this public sphere, it's just a lot of questions about what's going on and in the world of Kyrie, and I think I just would love to just keep that private and, handle it the right way with my team and go forward together with a plan. So, obviously I'm not able to be present there today, but that doesn't mean that I'm putting any limits on the future of me being able to join the team. And I just want to keep it that way. So if we could keep that private.
Even though we know what it is. Mm-hmm. We know what it is, but we're always going to try to find some way to bring it back to Kyrie and make it his fault. Mm-hmm. When he's told you exactly what this was from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So does that never stop?
No.
Stephen A. works for ESPN. ESPN is controlled by Disney. Stephen A. doesn't choose the topics. Somebody chooses them for him. His willingness has made him extremely valuable to these companies.
Is it forever from now on? Because I've heard multiple. I mean, I feel like if Stephen A's car got towed in New York, Kyrie Irving, damn it! If Stephen A's plane got delayed, Kyrie Irving, the wind. If it's him going to a game to see a Knicks, even though he's allowed to be in the building, he shouldn't be there. He's showing up. He's trying to. It feels like everything he does, there's something that you find wrong with it. So what can this man do?
Okay.
And hold on, let me finish my point. The only thing I want to say to you is
you sounded like you're asking questions.
I'm not. No, they're rhetorical
Okay.
questions. They're not meant for you to answer. You do it to me all the time, brother.
Okay.
All
Actually,
I'm saying.
But okay, go ahead. I don't. I actually say what I just said. I just say what I
you
say.
do it. You do it.
What is your
This is
plan?
part of your performance art.
Right.
I've seen it.
Stephen A. works for ESPN. ESPN is controlled by Disney. Stephen A. doesn't choose the topics. Somebody chooses them for him. His willingness has made him extremely valuable to these companies.
Okay. All I'm saying to you is if we know what it is, why does it always seem to come back to be his fault for something? It feels like it's just done because it's what, this creates a ripple effect. So we're going to talk about it again when that's not the case.
Okay. So let me answer your questions directly and specifically because it's about time, bro, that you man up and just accept this situation.
I do accept the situation.
No. It's basketball. It's the basketball season.
Yes.
It's not like we're talking about Kyrie while summer baseball is being played. We're in the throes of a basketball season. The playoffs are approaching, and we're looking at a Brooklyn team with him, and we're looking at a Brooklyn team without him.
Yes, understand.
With him, they can win the chip. Without him, there's no way in hell it happens. Period. So now when you get to that point, we're talking about this guy and his decision, whether we agree with it or not, costing them a championship.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about. You're in the sports talking business. So my question to you, rhetorically, would be, why are you even in the business if you can't talk about Kyrie? He's relevant. Everything we're talking about is relevant. I didn't bring him up about my car. I didn't bring him up about it getting towed. And by the way, I don't like you bringing that up because it did get towed a couple of weeks ago. Okay, and I had to go and get it back. So I don't like the fact that you brought up that bad memory when I got to go online and get my damn car back because I had an unpaid ticket I didn't know about, a parking ticket, okay? But neither here nor there. The point that I'm making is I didn't bring him up then. I didn't bring him up then. When I brought him up in the stands, why did I bring him up in the stands? Because despite my disgust with the decisions that he's made, I have been on the record on national television saying the mandate is a joke. It should be lifted Mayor Adams, I understand that you didn't make the policy, but the bottom line is you're the mayor. You're the head man in charge right now in New York City. You have the power to lift that mandate. You've lifted it for K through 12 public schools. How the hell you got fans coming into the Barclays Center unvaccinated? How come Kyrie Irving can't play? So I've defended him in that regard.
Yes.
I pointed that out. But the point is, if you show up to the Barclays Center, what happens is you might come across as antagonizing the mayor, thereby giving him less incentive to do what's right. That's why I brought that up. That's why Mike Wilbon brought it up. That's why everybody brought it up. Because we're saying, why are you antagonizing the situation? You got to handle it diplomatically and delicately because this man has the power to change course, which he should, so Kyrie can play. He should. Not just for that reason, but he should.
But it sounds like you're directing your energy towards Kyrie, and I'm saying the energy should be directed towards the situation. Like you just described the situation about the mandate being lifted for kids in grammar school, right? So like that's my thing. Like if you're angry about the situation, but it feels like you always flip it back to Kyrie.
Well, listen, it's two things. I've done both. The same guy that's going at Kyrie is the same guy that says the mandate should be lifted.
But you can't blame Kyrie if you see what the situation is for the situation.
Oh, I most certainly can, because what did we say? Must I rewind the clock and remind you what we argued about? This is where you and I are diametrically opposed, so let's remind our audience of where we stand. I am of the position that because you got cats to go to Brooklyn, that because the league mandate is what it is, and because 99% of the league ultimately made the sacrifice because they got a job to do, you should have done it too. You disagree. You talk about putting self in your body and all of this other stuff, and I respect that, but I disagree because my hope, listen, bottom line is this. I didn't necessarily want to take the vaccine, but I was going to because I knew it was the right thing to do, specifically because my employer says, you got to work. You got a team to look out for. This is what our conditions are. I'm looking at millions upon millions of people across the country. This is what the mandate is. I'm looking at the NBA. A lot of your teammates did not want to take the vaccine, but they did it. You are holding out. Fine. But in the process of holding out, just understand, you could potentially cost your team a championship because with Kyrie on the floor, with KD, they are that lethal. They can beat anybody. That's Milwaukee. That's Philly. That's Miami. I'm not saying definitively it will happen, but I believe they can beat anybody. The Warriors, the Phoenix Suns, them two together on their game could win the whole thing. And in the end, when we look at them, because we know what KD's going to bring, when we look at them, if they don't do it, what's going to be the reason it didn't happen?
So, is Kevin Durant angry at Kyrie Irving?
No, clearly not.
He's not.
Oh, really? We want to go there? He's not. We want to go there.
I'm going there. I've already been there.
Go ahead.
He's not angry at Kyrie.
Go ahead.
So I get your
Kevin
frustration.
Durant, he did this. Where I'm going. He did this. Kevin Durant. Go ahead.
Kevin's angry at the situation. That's what I've heard. I mean, Nick Riddell was on our show earlier talking about multiple conversations with Kevin Durant about the fact about the situation being something that KD's more angry about than Kyrie Irving. Okay. So all I'm sitting here saying is, it's frustrating as a fan to see Kyrie Irving one night drop 60. Right. I get where your animosity, where your frustration comes from.
I want to see him.
You want to see people ball out. But what I'm trying to tell you is because he's not giving you what you want, not giving fans. Like, it's still a part of the situation for him. Wow. And because he's not vaccinated.
Time on. Hold on. Kevin Durant, this is not me. Jay Williams started this. I wasn't going here. Okay, let's go to KD. Kevin Durant. Is he playing?
Yes.
Why is he playing?
Because he wants to win.
Okay. So
he doesn't have an issue with taking the vaccine.
Excuse me. He didn't necessarily want to take it from what I was told. He just did it because guess what? That's the mandate.
That's his choice.
And it's the mandate.
Yes.
Don't give me choices. We all know everybody has the right to make their choice.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like, I felt a little bit pressured to take because I want to win a championship.
No.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying is Kevin Durant wants the ball. Kevin Durant wants to win the championship. And in order to do it,
oh my goodness.
In order to do it, he had to go and get vaccinated. At the end of the day, when is Jay Williams? I'm talking directly to you. Mm-hmm. When is Jay Williams going to step back and go like this? You got the right to make that choice.
You do.
But your choice is costing y'all the championship. When are you going to say that?
Stephen A. works for ESPN. ESPN is controlled by Disney. Stephen A. doesn't choose the topics. Somebody chooses them for him. his willingness has made him extremely valuable to these companies.
At the end of the day, when is Jay Williams? I'm talking directly to you. When is Jay Williams going to step back and go like this? You got the right to make that choice.
You do.
But your choice is costing y'all the championship. When are you going to say that?
That's fine, but it's
When are you going to say it?
because
say it.
you don't put enough credence into unprecedented times.
Wow.
You tie everything that's happened with Kyrie before in the past, which you and I have gone back. I've been on the same side with you about multiple times. Because now it's unprecedented. You tie that into the other hook of it's always something. So that you don't give
It is true.
Did Cam's vaccination status have anything to do with him being released?
No. No, I mean, look, you guys keep talking about that. And, I would just point out that I don't know what the number is. I mean, you guys can look it up. You have the access to a lot of information. But the number of players and coaches and staff members that have, been infected by COVID in this training camp who have been vaccinated is a pretty high number. So I wouldn't lose sight of that.
Jonathan, Josh Robbins with The Athletic. What is it about the vaccine that makes you hesitant to get it?
I would start with I've had COVID in the past, and so our understanding of antibodies, of natural immunity has changed a great deal from the onset of the pandemic, and is still evolving. I understand that the vaccine would help if you catch COVID, and you'll be able to have less symptoms from contracting it. But with me having COVID in the past and having antibodies with my current age group and physical fitness level, it's not necessarily a fear of mine. Taking the vaccine, like I said, it would decrease my chances of having a severe reaction, but it does open me up to the, albeit rare chance, but the possibility of having an adverse reaction to the vaccine itself. I don't believe that being unvaccinated means infected, or being vaccinated means uninfected. You can still catch COVID with or without not having the vaccine. I would say, honestly, the craziness of it all, in terms of not being able to say that it should be everybody's fair choice without being demeaned or talked crazy to, doesn't make one comfortable to do what said person is telling them to do. I would say that's a couple of the reasons that, I would say I'm hesitant at this time, but at the end of the day, I don't feel that it is, anyone's reason to come out and say, well, this is why or this is not why. It should just be their decision, and loving your neighbors, not just loving those that agree with you or look like you or move in the same way that you do. It's loving those who don't.
I don't give a damn about the herd or whatever it is. Every player, every person in this world is going to make their own decision for themselves. I would like an explanation to, people with vaccines. Why are they still getting COVID? If that's something that we are supposed to highly be protected from. Like, it's funny that, it reduces your chances of going to the hospital. It doesn't eliminate anybody from getting COVID, right? So everybody in here vaxxed? I would assume, right? So you all can still get COVID, right? We're less likely to die or go to the hospital. Okay, but you can still get COVID.
Now at our Sunrise Live, hundreds of you are talking about this story on our Facebook page, Kirk Cousins, and why he is not getting the COVID vaccine. The quarterback is back on the field at Vikings training camp after being put on the COVID reserve list because of possible exposure to COVID-19. At this press conference yesterday, Cousins was pressed about whether he was vaccinated against COVID. He never directly answered that question. He called his vaccination status private. He had to miss practices after coming in close contact with Kellen Mond, who tested positive this past weekend. Cousins says he tested negative for the virus several times before returning to practice. Now that he's back, he wants everyone to know his focus this season is on making sure there are no close contact situations again.
I think the vaccination decision is a very private health matter for me, and I'm going to keep it as such. I do believe that as a leader of the team, it's very important to follow the protocols to avoid this close contact.
So the NBA says about 90% of players are currently vaccinated, but some star players are drawing attention right now for their stance on not taking the vaccine. So what did you think when you heard some of the reasons why current players, stars like Bradley Beal and Andrew Wiggins this week, don't want to get vaccinated?
I thought it was very irresponsible. It sounded to me like they have not made any attempt to inform themselves on what's going on.
Then you got these guys with the privacy thing. Well, listen to this. I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I don't have a right to look at your medical records and see your medical history. No, I'm not saying that. But if you can contaminate me with COVID,
I need to know.
I do have a right to know.
Fair point.
If you vaccinated or not. I got a right to know that.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky saying the findings from Provincetown were a pivotal reason behind the updated mask guidance this week, that even fully vaccinated people, if infected, can carry high viral loads and potentially be contagious. But that report concluding perhaps the guidance didn't go far enough, suggesting that even areas without substantial or high transmission might consider expanding their prevention strategies, including masking in indoor settings regardless of vaccination status. And Shep, a lot of people are raising questions about whether we're going to start seeing stronger measures from the federal government. And in fact, Dr. Walensky was just asked about this on Fox News tonight, whether they're considering mandating the vaccine on a federal level. She said, quote, "That's something that I think the administration is looking into." Shep, that's a reversal from what we've been hearing from the administration. In fact, just from a White House spokesperson today who said that is not on the table.
Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins is not a fan of wearing a mask. Listen to what Cousins said on Spotify's 10 Questions podcast, which is hosted by the NFL Network's Kyle Brandt.
If one is the person who says masks are stupid, you're all a bunch of lemmings, and 10 is I'm not leaving my master bathroom for the next 10 years, where do you land?
I'm not going to call anybody stupid for the trouble it could get me in, but I'm about a .000001. Yeah.
Really? How come?
Yeah, I just, again, I want to respect what other people's concerns are. But for me personally, if you're just talking, no one else can get the virus. What is your concern if you could get it? I would say I'm going to go about my daily life. If I get it, I'm going to ride it out. I'm going to let nature do its course. Survival of the fittest kind of an approach, and just say, if it knocks me out, it knocks me out. I'm going to be okay. Even if I die, I die. I kind of have peace about that.
LeBron has been and has chosen to be front and center on a plethora of issues. And this notion that it's a privacy matter, it's about your body or whatever, well, over 6 billion people worldwide have taken the vaccine. And so when we look at it, certainly you don't have to. Yeah. And we understand that, and you shouldn't be in people's face condemning them if they don't. But what you need to do is do the research as expeditiously as you possibly can to make sure that you're informed as quickly as you possibly can be, so you can disseminate whatever message you feel needs to be disseminated, as opposed to choosing this to be quiet. Whereas you had so many things that affected our community. People were dying in our community. And I felt like anybody that had a voice should have done their research sooner than later and made sure they made a decision and move forward, and at least be open about what you choose to do. And then you back out of it. I think he did that yesterday. He said, it's a personal choice. After doing my research, me and my family are vaccinated. Boom, we got it now. Vaccine's been out for damn near a year now. And we just heard from LeBron James yesterday. My issue is, and my only issue is, it should have been sooner.
Stephen A. works for ESPN. ESPN is controlled by Disney. Stephen A. doesn't choose the topics. Somebody chooses them for him. His willingness has made him extremely valuable to these companies.
I went on to Amazon Prime. I was like, let me see if there are any documentaries on Yahweh. So went in the search bar, typed in Yahweh. That came up. Went out and shared it on my platform. That was my night. In terms of the backlash, or what people call it, we're in 2022. History is not supposed to be hidden from anybody. And I'm not a divisive person when it comes to religion. I embrace all walks of life. You see it on all my platforms. I talk to all races, all cultures, all religions, and my response would be, it's not about educating yourself on what Semitism is and what anti-Semitism is. It's really about learning the root words of where these come from and understanding that this is an African heritage that is also belonging to the people. Africa is in it, whether we want to dismiss it or not. So the claims of anti-Semitism and who are the original chosen people of God, and we go into these religious conversations and it's a big no-no. I don't live my way like that. I don't live my life that way. Excuse me. I grew up in a melting pot, and I say a melting pot of all races: white, black, red, yellow, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and you can see the way I live my life now. I'm not here to be divisive, so they could push their agenda. I don't want to say they, because I'm not identifying any one group or race of people, but I'm in a unique position to have a level of influence on my community, and what I post does not mean that I support everything that's being said or everything that's being done, or I'm campaigning for anything. All I do is post things for my people in my community and those that it's actually going to impact. Anybody else that has criticism, it obviously wasn't meant for them.
Hopefully I'm understanding what you said, and I want to make sure I get it right because I don't want to misquote any part of it.
I don't expect understanding from a media conglomerate group that sincerely talks about the game of basketball, and then we bring up religion as if it's correlative at times when it's convenient for people to bring it up. So please just be direct with your question so we can move on from this and I can talk about the game and go home to my son Elohim and my wife Marlene, okay?
Am I to take it that this was, what you shared was not something that you've even watched? This was, you did watch it, or either watch it or read it.
I had a lot of time last year to read a lot. Read a whole bunch. Good and bad about the truth of our world.
So then do you, I guess, understand or not understand those that might imply that that work had anti-Semitic leanings in it? I only ask this because the tweet is still up there, so I
We're in 2022. It's on Amazon, a public platform. Whether you want to go watch it or not is up to you. There's things being posted every day. I am no different than the next human being, so don't treat me any different. You guys come in here and make up this powerful influence I have over top of the adultery of, oh, you cannot post that. Why not? Why not? I don't hear an uproar on that. I'm not here to be divisive on what's going on this or that. I'm not comparing Jews to blacks. I'm not comparing white to black. I'm not doing that. That conversation is dismissive, and it constantly revolves around the rhetoric of who are the chosen people of God. And I'm not here to argue over a person or a culture or religion on what they believe. No, this is what is here. It's on a public platform. Did I do anything illegal? Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Did I do anything illegal? Did I hurt anybody? Did I harm anybody? Am I going out and saying that I hate one specific group of people?
I was probably one of the first guys on Twitter. And when I realized the power it had, I knew I had to be very responsible. Followers, platform, whatever you call it, I knew I had to be responsible. I try to make people happy. I try to make people smile. My formula has always been the same: 60% to make you laugh, 30% to inspire you, and 10% whatever I'm selling. You have to be aware of what you're doing. And you have to be aware that sometimes when you put stuff out, not everybody's gonna like it. Some people are conscious, some people are not. I can tell he's not conscious, he doesn't really care what's going on. But us, I know that the game that we used to love and we promote, it brings people together. And it hurts me sometimes when we have to sit up here to talk about stuff that divides the game. Now we got to answer for what this idiot has done. Now we got to answer for what this idiot has done. Now we got to answer for what this idiot has done.
So when I hear what Kyrie Irving has to go through in order to be reinstated, I'm appalled. I'm appalled. And let me give you examples of how I feel like we don't have the same energy and hold other people who have dealt with racial tropes accountable. So when Sarah Silverman does blackface, or when Don Imus says nappy-headed hose, or when Howard Stern calls somebody the N-word in the skit, or when Brett Favre takes money from the state of Mississippi, we don't ask them to get sensitivity training. We don't ask them to donate $500,000. We don't ask them to meet with the Black National Caucus. They apologize. And then, you know what? The rest of the world moves on. But what I feel like is happening here, and that's how in the Black community, like we've been told that's how the process works, right? Think about that, Brit. That's how the process works. Oh, somebody does a blackface. Oh, it was a misunderstanding. We got it. Okay. You know, is that person really racist? Probably not. Was it ignorant? Probably so. Okay. We understand it. We move forward. We don't like it. We would love to hold them accountable. But society and having a lot of Black people in positions of power, we don't have the governability to do that. But what we feel like happens with Kyrie is even after an apology, it's not enough. We feel like there needs to be more. And a lot of people I've spoken to over the last couple of days talk about this thing. Older mentors of mine talk about buck breaking.
First of all, Adam's Jewish. You can't take my $40 million and insult my religion. If you're gonna insult me, you have the right, but I have the right to say, no, you're not gonna take my $40 million and insult my religion. I think the NBA, they made a mistake. We have suspended people and fined people who have made homophobic slurs, and that was the right thing to do. I think if you insult the Black community, you should be suspended or fined heavily, depending. I saw they did the same thing to the kid in Minnesota this year when he made the gay slur. I think you should get suspended or fined. I think him acknowledging the Alex Jones thing should have happened with that too, because that dude's crazy. And I can't believe that we ain't talking about we're talking about this idiot. I can't believe that we ain't talking about we're talking about this idiot. I can't believe that we ain't talking about we're talking about this idiot.
You responded to Joe Tsai's comment about Kyrie on Twitter. What about that bothered you? And what about Joe Tsai's comment? And then what, if anything, that the league has done has bothered you?
Yeah, his response was alarming to me. I tweeted it out yesterday. He didn't say that the organization was working together to get Kyrie back on the floor. He said that he had more work to do. And our society has more work to do, including Joe Tsai. And it's 2022. It takes 10 minutes of time to see who, these business owners, corporations, et cetera, who they're associated with, who they're doing business with, and who they're affiliated with. And I'm vice president of the union, and it's part of my job to protect our players legally. And to see Phil Knight first come out and condemn, Kyrie, and also see Joe Tsai say he has more work to do, I think it's time for a larger conversation. And Adam came out and said a statement that he doesn't believe Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic, yet he's still suspended indefinitely. So those are my thoughts. But a lot of these companies and corporations, they meet 4 times a year and talk about amongst various industries how they can socially engineer and influence our minds, right, through the technology that they can control without us really even paying attention and even noticing. Just like the Michel Foucault theory, where I was talking about the watchtower that is policing the prisoners. Bots, comments, positive comments, negative comments could affirm whatever agendas that they want to push. They can create the bots, they can control kind of the approvals or disapprovals of what is in society. Another example is kind of like group thinking. If I control a bunch of platforms, or I control a bunch of accounts, or have a bunch of partners that are all in cahoots with me, I can also socially engineer conversations, start trends, kind of create a herd mentality where you think it's natural, but it's all algorithmically engineered to dictate the market.
Christian influencers. Okay. You said, you talked about the woke right, and you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're movies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is followers. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. Exactly. Very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpoint? Yes.
The largest ever U.S. delegation to Israel just took place. 250 state legislators from all 50 states arrived Monday for an event called 50 States, One Israel. They planted 50 trees at a site of the October 7th attacks and met with Israeli leaders. Netanyahu's office called it the biggest bipartisan visit of American lawmakers to Israel. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar urged them to push anti-BDS laws in their states, which are meant to discourage boycotts of Israel. So far, 38 states have already adopted such measures. Sa'ar described BDS as part of a coordinated global effort against Israel, saying the best response has been anti-BDS legislation. But the trip's timing sparked controversy. The very next day, the UN ruled for the first time that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, while Israel relaunched its ground invasion of Gaza City. And despite its scale and timing, this massive visit has barely been covered by international media. Only local Israeli outlets reported on it, leaving many to question why such a major event went largely unnoticed.
And Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
A partnership between Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Friends of Zion Museum led to the unprecedented visit.
It's the first time in history the State of Israel has officially partnered with 1,000 strategic pastors to commission them as ambassadors to combat anti-Semitism and reach the youth of their generation.
Dr. Mike Evans says Israel's fight is not just on the battlefield.
Right now there's an ideological war that Israel's losing. So they need the evangelicals, they need the Zionists to fight an ideological war.
One of the goals of this gathering is to strengthen Christian support during a time of growing global anti-Semitism. They say the pulpit must speak louder than the propaganda.
And then the last one I would say is like the digital dopamine. A lot of us are addicted to social media. We don't even know it, right? The rewarding feeling of getting likes, the rewarding feeling of getting impressions can cause addiction. And the opposite of that can cause the opposite, anxiety and depression. This is all reinforcing the overarching Michel Foucault's theory, the Watchtower. And the philosophy is that physical authority has shifted to psychological authority. I was doing media after Celtics practice, and a writer came up to me and was asking me questions about politics and sports. And I just thought I'll just share my thoughts, the things that I learned at Berkeley. And I ended up telling him that sports is used as a mechanism for control. So that's exactly what he titled the article. Jaylon Brown says sports is used as a mechanism for control. I gained some support, but mostly I got a lot of backlash. But the front office, Danny Ainge at the time, called me into his office and was like, how could you say this? You're saying sports is used as a mechanism for control, but you just benefited from sports and changed your family generationally. And he's right. And I told him sports can be used to do great things, bring people together, change people's lives, inspire people, motivate, but it also can be used as the opposite. So I told Danny, like, it can be used as a way to distract people from what's really going on in society. There's panopticons, watchtowers, that exist within sports as well, where like media training is like a way of programming athletes to think, act, and behave the same. Nothing controversial, nothing political, nothing unsafe. And the people that I admire the most were the exact opposite of that. Muhammad Ali, Bill Russell, Jim Brown, they all use their platforms for something beyond sports. So while I'm here, while I got my platform, those who are listening and those who may be listening in the future back home, I just want to encourage people to be not afraid to be who you are, be proud of where you come from, and to think critically and think for yourself. When I was in high school, I had to make a big decision. I was the #1 player in the country. People would think that's an easy decision to make. It's actually one of the hardest I've ever had to make. Like, as an 18-year-old, you can go to any school in the world that you want to based upon your talent and your ability. How do you narrow it down, right? So, typically most human beings would see like, okay, players like me or people like me, let's see what other people like me, the decisions they made. So that's what I kind of did. A lot of the players that were like me went to Kentucky or Kansas or North Carolina. That was the typical algorithm within a top 5 player, top 5 prospect in the world. So I made a decision that at 18 that if I was going to use my platform, I was going to be in control. So instead, I went to UC Berkeley and explored my educational career versus going to what the algorithm would have preferred me to do.
So first of all, where's the sweet spot between authenticity and strategy? Because we know streaming platforms are made by the same people who are willing to cancel you when you talk about something that that is not going accordingly to what they really want people to know.
When it comes to how I decided to use my platform, I lean in on authenticity more than anything. When I made a decision about how I'm going to use my platform, I'm okay with the consequence, as long as I'm being authentic. Sometimes developing a strategy is great, but sometimes that doesn't go according to plan. I have a plan, but life has a plan, Allah has a plan. It doesn't always work out the way you think. So being true to yourself, I can live with that.
Is lying to you about the Jaylon Brown trade. It wasn't salary cap or team drama. It's actually something ESPN will never mention. Boston's ownership are some of the biggest war profiteers on planet Earth. When an NBA athlete tears their Achilles, their on-court value drops substantially. Only 2 players, Kevin Durant and Dominique Wilkins, ever returned to the same form. Think about it. Do you really believe a $6 billion franchise is going to gamble their entire future on a shredded Achilles because of a Twitch stream?
Was Jaylon Brown acting like Antonio behind the scenes? Like, am I missing something?
Even JB said it after the trade.
I definitely think there's more to it.
He knows he can't spill the full story, so I will. It only starts to make sense when you realize that the people writing his checks are in a boardroom full of military contractors.
There is something special about you, Judah. There is something special about you, Israel, or Yashara'al. When I say Judah, Yahwadah. That is the ancient pronunciation of the word. There is something special about you, Judah. Yahweh only spoke to you, to us, as a nation. And he spoke to no other nation. That's why we are supposed to be what? That light. We're Yah's chosen people that's separated. We're supposed to be the nation that's teaching the nations, not the nations teaching us.
Lion of Judah come upon the earth, bringing unquenchable fire. All the tribes of Israel and the believers stand in power. Speak with authority, worship uncontrollably. There's something about you, Judah. Fire upon the kingdom of darkness. We may suffer for a little while, but joy cometh in the morning.
Judah special, no wonder we were a chosen vessel. In and out of captivity, weaving like a pretzel. Messiah come through the tribe, clean out the bloodline. We disciples, so put us up on the front line. Face to face with crime, cause we ain't scared to grind. When you connect the divine, we slave press for time. Evangelize, keep the fine put us in prison in. Worship first, can we always invite the spirit in? Hard revival through a pen, stacking souls in empty bins. Joe in the morning, this a warning, you will never win. Fire upon the head of the serpent, he next tail chirping. It's too late cause your tail's already burning. I don't want your riches, gotta match it with gold streets. Rubies all around me, the light shine, no police. The living used to be deceased, resurrected to a feast. Nothing like being in peace at the table with the meat.
What's your thoughts? Please be respectful with your comments. Also, please click the like, click the notification bell, and subscribe to this channel.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the, Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.